I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, peoples? How you doing? You know how I do this. I always do this. So we have a wonderful guest today, all the way from a different country. That's right. It's like late here. I'm like tired, but I'm going to do this. You know why? Because he is amazing. I love his work. We'll be right back. Don't you go anywhere. Welcome back to the show. Man, I am telling you, you can get both of our podcasts everywhere. Okay. Google, Apple, iTunes, iHeart, wherever you want. Both of these podcasts are available because you know why? We're just great like that. We're just great like that. And I want to welcome my guest to the show. Please, I don't want to mess up your name. I really don't. It's because I will. I'm going to let you know I will. So go ahead and tell everybody your name and the name of your podcast.
No worries, all good. My name is Saurabh, and I'm currently talking to you from this beautiful city of Sydney in Australia. And I have started a podcast recently called Ultimate Global Podcast, in which we talk about trending international and social affairs. So we run different themes across the week. So, for example, yesterday we covered this topic on UN Sustainable Development Goals, where we talked with a speaker from Afghanistan. And similarly, we touch base upon different themes across the week, like foreign diplomacy, COVID-19, international education, sports. So we talk about those different themes which really matter you a lot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, so how did you know you wanted to start a podcast like this? I mean, what hit you all of a sudden, like world news?
So I have been running a podcast at the student level in the university for now around 4 months, which was based on the student issues only. But that gave me an idea with another business mentor in Sydney to start with a podcast, which can actually go at a bigger level and touch base upon some pressing environmental, social, and issues which really matter the common man and the common people a lot. And that's where I thought of using my podcasting skills as well as something which I'm interested towards, that is the global affairs, for the benefit of the society as a whole. So it's more than a business.
Right.
It's not just a podcast, but it's something which also creates a value for the society. So I was talking about yesterday's podcast with Mariam Popal Zahid in Afghanistan. We know that it's a trending issue.
Yes.
The kind of tortures faced by women in Afghanistan, we all know about that. But when they get a platform like this to really speak their hearts out, that adds a lot of value. And that's what we are here for at the Ultimate Global Podcast.
Yeah. I love it. I love talking about the topics and the world topics and all that, but I don't like doing the podcast on it because the moment that it's over, I'm crying. I'm crying. How does that touch you? I mean, how can you do a podcast like that? Do you get emotionally tied at all?
Not really. I think it's just upon your interest area and what you're passionate about doing. If you're really passionate about that, generally you don't get tired of what you're doing. Say, for example, what you are doing at the moment. You will not get tired of what you are doing because you are really interested in this thing. Similarly, I'm interested in doing something of that kind, which really touches the society and which is on the current issues, and which can also add some value through our discussions. So this podcast, I think, is ultimately dealing with all kinds of global issues. And in those global issues, when we are discussing about that, we touch base upon key facts and perspectives, which really, that is what adds value to the discussions, because you can have some sort of vague discussion as well, but when you bring in those facts, the perspectives into the picture, that's where the audience also engages with you and they appreciate the work that you are putting in.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that because that is a lot of work. How much work do you really truly have to do behind the scenes that most people don't see?
It's actually a lot of work because generally people just look at the final output as to what the video is. And I
Mhm.
think you must have gone through the same, that audience appreciating you, but they don't know what the actual work goes behind the scenes when you have to,
Yeah.
handle so many different channels, social media channels. You have to handle Apple iTunes, the channels where the podcast is being broadcasted. Those are the trivial tasks, and then overlaying and having some sort of partnerships for your podcast, so
Mhm.
that you can try to make it bigger and reach it to the next level and reach it to different locations where you want
Mhm.
the platform to go. And then the content research that goes into the picture
Right.
is a lot, because you need to see how can you differentiate your content
Mhm.
from a similar, people who are doing a similar content around you.
Right.
So researching a lot on the content and creating a value for the audience, it's always a challenging task.
It is. It definitely is. Now, what is your favorite topic to talk about? I mean, everybody has one. With me, it's music, obviously. I mean, I love music. So, but what is yours?
Well, I don't have one topic to choose from, because there are so many great topics to
Yeah.
talk about and to discuss about. Music is something which I'm also close to, by the way. I have been singing quite a lot back in my home country, India. And but I don't sing English songs, though.
Mhm.
Yeah, singing in my language before you start requesting me anything for your audience.
No.
But my individual topic would be on foreign diplomacy, where I talk about how the countries are dealing with each other with regards to foreign trade and global economics. So,
Mhm.
and coming from my background, because I'm doing Masters of International Business from
Mm,
University of New South Wales in Sydney, and
mm.
that's what interests me a lot, towards business, towards economics, towards foreign diplomacy. That's what really interests me a lot.
That's wonderful. I love that. Yeah, because I mean, think about it. It's like everybody's on this one earth, living on this one earth. And there's just so many different things going on. I hope that we can all just come together and stop the craziness and learn how to live together on this big, big round planet we call home.
Absolutely.
That would be nice. Wow. So foreign diplomacy, talking about world, topics and everything. When people look at you and they say, "Oh, wow, this guy is so versed. He's so amazing. He knows everything." What would be the one thing that you think of yourself that you really want to learn more of?
Well, that's a tough question to answer, but I would say that there is always something to learn from
Mhm.
others, because you cannot be 100%. Nobody can
Yeah.
be 100%, even though they might portray to be. So when I look at myself and I have to understand where I'm going wrong, I'll generally look at the top personalities, the CEOs of big organizations like the Tesla, the Amazon, the Apple, and we look at these guys and say, maybe I'm not putting that much of hard work as compared to these guys. I think I need to really gear up myself for the next day. And I think that's what motivates you to keep on working hard, keep on putting more efforts towards your projects, be it music or any other kind of podcast or any other kind of business that you are doing.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Man, let me tell you something. I appreciate what you do. It is not an easy thing to talk about world topics. It's just not, because there's just so much going on in the world. How do you choose your topics according to, is it according to like what's trending right now, or what has trended, or what you feel is trending?
So I feel that the first step is to research on what's going on.
Mhm.
Okay. And then we put it under certain themes. As I just told you, that we are trying to cover different themes in a particular week, including, it can be foreign diplomacy, it can be business, or COVID-19, and social affairs. And then we see what's trending in that particular week. or
Okay,
1 or 2 weeks, and then categorize it into those themes.
right.
So that's how we do. Now, which social affair should I pick, or which COVID-19 update should I pick? That is up to me and the other guest who is coming along.
Mhm.
So we choose in between both of us that this is the one topic which is really trending and needs to be discussed about underneath that theme. So for example, we think that today under COVID-19 theme, we need to discuss about how's the lockdown situation going on in United States,
Mm.
or how is the lockdown going on in the Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we discuss about in that 20-minute session.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that's important to know. I mean, a lot of people just think that you just go online. Oh, look, we're going to talk about that. It's just more to it. When you started this podcast, when you started the podcast for the university, and then when you switched over to your own podcast, what was the difference that you felt between the university and now yours?
Oh, this was way different. So the university one was a small project. It was not a small project at the beginning. It seemed to be a big one because we were doing for the first time, and it was the first ever student podcast in my university at Sydney, which was started by me, which was initiated by me. And because I had to start it something from scratch, it was a lot of hard work. But if I now compare it with the project that I'm doing now, it's quite different because that podcast was focused towards the student community. This podcast is catering towards all kinds of people. So we talk about international education, so we cater to the students. We talk about the business world, so we cater to those large businesses. We talk about social affairs, UN Sustainable Development Goals, and so we are touch basing upon all kinds of communities here. And obviously, there is a lot of hard work because this is something which we want to reach to the larger communities around the globe.
Right.
And that's why the larger the market, the more the hard work for you to reach out to that market, because obviously it's a new podcast and we would definitely like to have maximum support, and in fact would like to have some feedback to understand where we can further improve.
Awesome. And that's what we're going to do today. Where can people reach you and listen to the podcast and give you feedback?
Absolutely.
Where can they find you?
So they can go to the Apple iTunes and Spotify.
Okay.
I hope that you can share the links with them for Apple iTunes and Spotify, and
definitely.
And then they can just follow us and start liking our social media pages as well, so that they can get that regular update. One thing which I wanted to tell you to your audience is how we differentiate from other podcasters. A lot of them are just audio. A lot of the people who are in global affairs or who are doing podcasts towards the world economics or the business, these kind of topics, they are generally not video podcasting platforms. All of them are audio, but we are focusing both towards an audio and a video because we think that video is always more interactive as compared to audio. But firstly, you should go to our Apple iTunes and Spotify platforms. I'm sure that you're going to share the links, and also go to our social media platforms of Ultimate Global Podcast. We are already there on all of them, including Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Yes, definitely. We will definitely be sharing that today. And I was looking for your links because I had already started listening to one of your podcasts, the most current one that we were talking about a little bit earlier. And I will be finishing that up while I'm doing a few other things. But I love the fact that you're doing this, that you're bringing light to certain situations that most people don't even think about. And if they did think about it, it was sort of like, oh, okay. And then they just kept thinking about something else. So they went on with their lives. But this is important. And I want to thank you so much for doing this. Ultimate Global Podcast can be on iTunes and Google and wherever else. We're going to have links in the description box below, so that way you guys can go ahead and copy and paste it into your browser or click it. It'll take you straight there. You can even click the logo if you're watching on Roku or Amazon Fire or on Vimeo. It'll take you straight to the Ultimate Global Podcast. I want to thank you so very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here. And I would like to thank you that you invited me for today's session. And also to the audience, don't forget to come back with me with any kind of feedback, and post on any of our pages, social media pages. Just type out a message with your feedback and I'll be the first person to respond you back with that.
Awesome. And we're going to make sure that they know and have that link so they can do that. Thank you so much again, so much for being on the show. I so much appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. And thank you guys for tuning in to Dream Chasers Radio. And don't forget to dare to be different. And don't forget, we need feedback, and definitely good feedback. Put some thought into it and send it. Thank you so much again. And don't forget to dare to be different, guys. Until next time. Bye.
I dare to be different.